Okay, we're gonna get going. All right, good evening. This is Huntley Community School District 158's, board meeting for August 18th. It is 6:02. Can we have roll call, please?
Mrs. Minorino. Here. Mr. Craddy.
Here.
Mr. Troy.
Here.
Mrs. Melendi.
Here.
Mr. Guerin.
Here.
Mr. Quagliano.
Here.
Mr. Gentry.
Okay, we have a quorum. I will make a motion to move into closed session at 6:02 for the items enumerated in the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Marino. Can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Guerin.
Yes.
Mrs. Minorino.
Yes.
Mr. Quagliano.
Yes.
Mr. Craddy.
Yes.
Mr. Troy.
Yes.
Mrs. Melendi.
Yes.
Mr. Gentry.
We'll be in closed session for about an hour. Hey, Sean. Okay, no, great, this turns out. Okay, we're back, from closed session. It's 7:09. Can we have roll call, please?
Mrs. Melendi?
Here.
Mr. Gentry? Mrs. Maiorino? Here. Mr. Guerin?
Here.
Mr. Troy?
Here.
Mr. Craddy?
Here.
Mr. Guagliano?
Here. Okay, we have a quorum again. We have no action out of closed session, so item 4 is the Pledge of Allegiance, if we could stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We're on to item 5, which is public comment. I have 5 of them. Okay. First person to speak tonight will be Amy Steck.
Hello.
Hello.
Push the green button on the top, please.
Push what?
The green button.
Okay. Is that all right?
Thank you.
Can I lower it or leave it where?
Absolutely. No, you can lower it. Thank you.
My name's Amy Steck, and I'm sorry to be here on the second day of school. It's a problem. Hate to be that person. I really don't want to be. I have 3 kids in the district at 3 different schools, and really things are going well, except for the fact that my oldest daughter had 3 substitutes on the first day. But I know some things like that are beyond your control and will get worked out. The thing that should be able to be fixed is the bus schedule. My daughter is scheduled to be picked up at 7:14. Buses unload at Heinemann at 7:15, and we live 15 minutes from school. They don't get to school until 10 to 15 minutes after school has already started. And this has been a consistent problem. We had this problem last year, and it continues to be a problem this year. I did call the transportation office, I did call administration, and I got the same answer. Until we hire more bus drivers, your kids will be late to school every day. And I just don't think that sets the right precedent for kids. They actually missed part of the assembly where the principal addressed punctuality and told all the kids to be at school on time. And the kids walked in late with their backpacks, which they're not allowed to have because they didn't have time to go to their lockers. So to me, an easy fix, I've been told that our bus route stops at another subdivision, picks up those kids, takes them to Heinemann, then comes out to us, gets our kids, and goes on. Why not start that bus route 10 to 15 minutes earlier? I know those kids will get to school earlier, which kind of stinks. Some kids don't want to get up, but we're causing a whole group of kids to miss 10 minutes a day, 50 minutes a week. That's an entire class period. That's 34 hours out of the school year of instruction time that they're missing because the teachers aren't waiting for them. You can't expect the teachers to wait for them. We can't put the whole group behind the group of the small that's missing out. I get that, but it's not fair. And these kids missed out last year. They were late last year. We were asked to be accommodating, and we were. We drove our kids to make space on the bus, despite having kids at Heinemann and the high school starting and ending at the same time in opposite directions from our house. We got up early, dropped off the high schooler early, so our middle schooler could get there on time. And all I ask is that these kids be allowed to start school on time. It might seem like a small thing. Some parents joked, oh, my kids like to sleep in. But there were actually a lot of kids quite upset, especially 6th graders, late to school. And it's not a first day of school, buses are late thing. I get that. Buses were late all over the board the last couple of days. I totally understand that. This is a scheduling thing. They've been scheduled to be picked up where they're going to be late to school. And I just think we've been accommodating a lot, and this is a small thing that could be fixed. Grew up in a district that had a bus driver shortage. I'm sorry to say, but our superintendent pitched it. He put on overalls over his suit, and he drove the bus a lot. We had a math teacher that learned how to drive the bus. He drove the bus for sporting events and musical events and all those things. There has to be an answer to this problem. And that doesn't even address the fact that these kids are getting home 25 to 30 minutes late, which also causes a scheduling conflict when you have kids getting from different schools and you never know when they're going to be there. All I ask is you please get it so that these kids can get to school on time at the very minimum. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Amy, for coming. Corinne Burns.
My name is Corinne Burns, and I'm a member of the District 158 Parent Union. First, I'd like to point out that the district signed a sworn affidavit that they will have no mass or exclusion policies in place with no intentions of implementing them. As a result, the district was dropped from the lawsuit. It's disappointing that the court had to get involved to provide our students their legal due process in the district, but our kids look forward to a normal school year without quarantine or masking. Next, I'd like to discuss critical race theory, CRT, and it being hidden behind social emotional learning in our classrooms. These programs were designed to indoctrinate students and collect personal data on students and their families. This data is designed to create social credit scores for students that will follow them through school and through their careers, similar to social credit scores in China. Many SEL programs are designed to shape the child's developing brain to accept particular worldviews, particularly sexuality, racial attitudes, and other social issues under the guise of providing mental health benefits. These beliefs may be contrary to the parent and family moral values. The indoctrination of our children is extremely concerning and does not belong in the classroom. We were told on the first day of school in English class in the high school, some students were asked to fill out a form listing their pronouns in school, with their friends, and at home. Why is this a thing? Why does a teacher need this data? At Conley, in 3rd and 5th grade, today in music class, the kids were asked if they associate as he, she, or they. They had to go around the room and sing a song about how they would like to be called. It goes something like this. My name is Corinne. It would be nice if you refer to me as she, if you suffice. The kids expressed confusion to their parents. I encourage this district to do their job to educate our children in core subjects like math, science, and reading, and leave sexuality, SEL, and CRT out of the classroom.
Thank you, Corinne. Angie Berkeley.
Hi, my name is Angie Berkeley, and I'm part of the parent union. At open house for my 5th grader, I received a permission slip for her to access the young adult section in the library. The permission slip included a couple book titles as examples for the young adult books in the section. I asked the teacher at open house if I could get a list of all the books in this section so I could make the best informed decision for my child before signing the slip. My daughter's teacher asked the school library if she was told, and she was told there was not a list of titles in that area. I then asked, how can they assure me if I denied my daughter access to this section that she won't be able to check out these young adult books? I was told that the barcode on the book is scanned and it'll beep and it won't allow her to check it out. Although I'm pleased to know that these measures will be taken, I begin to wonder, if the library computer can distinguish the young adult books from the other books in the library, then why am I being told there is no such list for the young adult books? I begin to search the district website and I find that there's the list myself. After long searching, I found destiny.district158.org. I clicked on my child's school and clicked on the catalog tab to search. The website allows you to see all the books in the libraries within this district. In League alone, there are 338 books in the young adult section. Although most of them I was looking at are great, but I'm going to go through all the books before I sign the permission slip. And while it's great to offer more book choices for the students, and also allowing parents to give or deny permission access to these books, the lack of transparency about the entirety of the section is not great. Why the lack of transparency? I would have been satisfied for now if I had been directed to the website in the first place. And to kind of piggyback off of what Amy said with the buses, I'm also in the same neighborhood that she is in. And instead of spending our money on brand new electric buses with the infrastructure and leasing out buses to other districts, can maybe raise the pay for to attract more drivers or advertise the jobs in a different manner, or maybe we can take some of those funds and offer credit to the family to drive their children instead. If we invest in the staff and the students instead of investing in just the image of this district. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. Jill Cataldo.
I'm Jill Cataldo, and I'm speaking on behalf of the D158 Parent Union. With students returning to school this week, we've been hearing from parents concerned about the latest educational trends that our district seems to be going all in with social emotional learning, particularly the focus on non-standard pronouns, children identifying with a myriad of identities, genders, or even animals. How did we get here, guys? Schools should focus on academics. It's what school does best. It's what this district did best. None of these things were encouraged or accepted in D158 just a few years ago. Why are they part of school now? Because it's a trend? Those of us who have older children, my oldest is 26, who graduated D158, we've seen plenty of trends come and go. We've seen Common Core. We saw rigor and grit, teaching children to be self-sufficient, strong problem solvers. Rigor and grit was still a tenet in this district just 8 years ago. Why was it eliminated? Whose decision was it to suddenly drop self-sufficiency in favor of entertaining the idea that feelings will be hurt if we're not allowed to use pronouns or dress as animals or what have you? Instead of continuing to turn out strong starters, the next generation seems poised to have difficulty coping if someone outside school does not use the right pronoun to describe them. Our district's director of curriculum, Amy McCrindle, tweeted last week, day 2 with our new D158 staff, relationships before rigor. If that is now the policy, does the district need to apologize to all the rigor kids that have come through the system because that's what they were taught at the time? Last time at our parent meeting, one father pointed out that SEL is a political ideology bordering on a religion. Indeed, it has many factors in common with a religion or a cult. Everyone is being expected to go along with these rather new ideas of dozens of genders and grammatically incorrect or even nonsensical pronouns. We have parents who are very disturbed by the ideas of our schools possibly concealing a student's alternate gender identity and name at school versus the name they use at home. Again, none of this belongs in school. It's just not the school's role. It is one thing to emotionally support students. It's completely another for the school to become an enabler and help conceal personal information about a student from a parent. Parents and students are being told to accept ideas and concepts that for many of us have little to no basis in the way we live our lives with our families, and also have little to no basis in the way you yourselves were educated. None of you sitting in front of me grew up with any of the things that are being taught right now. Not one of you. Why is this being advocated to teach now? Are there any studies that say allowing students to identify with multiple genders, animals, pronouns creates more successful adults? Or is this being done blindly because it's trendy? We looked for studies, and unfortunately, these ideas are so new, it doesn't seem to exist. Nationally, more than 2 million children stopped attending public school over the past year. This is post-pandemic. The pandemic did leave many parents to explore alternate avenues to educating children. Numerous studies noting that the catalyst for many people was seeing and hearing what was going on inside the schools on Zoom. Our school's long-term district enrollment is dropping, and if parents continue to be dissatisfied, it may drop more. How far do we let this go? What options are there for parents who do not want their children exposed to these ideologies? Has that even been considered? Based on our district history with Common Core, rigor and grit, and many others, we've got about 8 years or so before SEL is replaced by yet another new thing. Instead of adopting and discarding ideology after ideology after ideology, why not just simply stick to academics? Stop following whatever the latest trend or fad is, and let's just focus on academics without an agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Carrie Cross.
I just have a few quick things. First, I wanted to say thank you for posting all of the smiling faces on the first day. It was a beautiful thing to see all of their faces, so happy to see their friends again and see their faces too. I asked you to replace these mask pictures with those faces so that we never have to see this again. Today I attended a mandatory reporter training, in which I'm sure everyone here and all the staff has also done. the first thing that you're taught is that anything that is told to a child that they have to keep secret from their parents is grooming 101. We are now having teachers tell their students, what do you want to be here? We don't have to tell your families. That is grooming 101, guys. You can't be contributing to that. Be certain that we have eyes and ears in all of the schools, every single one of them, and we are paying attention, and our kids are more confused than ever. If this SEL was helping them, I would buy in, and I would be the first one to say, awesome, our kids are better than ever. But they're not. They're worse off, and you all know it. They're worse off than they have ever been, and the statistics prove it. This isn't helping. Lastly, I found out a couple of days ago, or yesterday, I guess, about a light committee, that there was an email that was sent out to the light parents. As a future light parent, and other light parents would also like to be included on information like that is coming, because those decisions that are going to be made are going to affect our kids, not the kids that are in the light program right now. They're never going to see what you guys are planning. The people that are in it right now, they're not going to get the benefits of it. So what the work they're putting in now is for our kids. We would like to help contribute to that. I'd be the first one to say, yes, I'd like some input. So please think about including the people that'll actually get the benefits of those. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. And to item 6, revision and adoption of the agenda. So you have a report. Lombard. McCrindle. Nothing. Yusumke. Nothing. Dr. Del Castillo.
Yeah, I have a short update.
Okay. Keeper. Mr. Altmeyer. Nothing. Come on. Nothing.
He gave me his.
All right.
I'll take care of
Okay,
it.
you're gonna take care of it. Sector Zare, do you have anything beyond? No. Dr. Budzinski? Nothing. So it is there. All right, then I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the removal of items 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, and 14. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Maiorino. Can we roll call on the agenda?
Mr. Craddy?
Yes.
Mr. Gearing?
Yes.
Mrs. Melendi?
Yes.
Mr. Gentry? Mr. Quagliano?
Yes.
Mrs. Maiorino?
Yes.
Mr. Troy?
Yes. Okay. Then we'll be on item 7, Dr. Rowe.
All right, thank you, Mr. Quagliano. As I begin my report tonight, I want to start and invite some of our guests up to the podium. As you all know, Mark Altmeyer, our CFO, has been very active in the Illinois Association of School Business Officials and is finishing what I believe is a 7-year term on the leadership team that culminated in presidency 2 years ago, and then serving as past president last year. So he's finished that term, and invite Dr. Jacoby to take the mic and with his recognition of Mark's service.
Thank you, and thank you for giving us just a few minutes of your meeting to honor Mark, to honor you, and to thank you for allowing us to have Mark as a leader among our association. As Dr. Rose said, Mark had been with us for 7 years in a leadership role on our board of directors and all the way through president and immediate past president. And served faithfully in that. Tried to balance a lot of things, because when you're serving a statewide organization, as a leader like that, it does take time, extra time out of your life and your family and also your job. And so thank you for committing to Mark being able to serve in that way. And he's made a tremendous mark in Illinois and actually in the nation as an award winner at ASBO International last year. So really proud of his work, both here at the district and also with us. So tonight with me, I have Dave Vine. Dave is the CFO at Barrington Public Schools, and Dave is our current president-elect. And I have Eric DePorter, and Eric is the current president of Illinois ASBO, and he's the business official in Glen Ellen 41. So Dave's going to say a few words, and Eric's going to make a presentation.
Mr. Quagliano, members of the board, thank you for allowing Mark to participate in Illinois ASBO. I believe here in District 158 that what you do is set policies and work with your superintendent and administrative team to ensure that students are well educated and become contributors to the society within which they live. And I will say that Mr. Altmaier has done that within the society that he works. So among school business officials, Mark has consistently been a giver of his time, his expertise, his advice, and coaching, mentoring of young school business officials. He is someone who continues to give. And it is so important that that example exists within your school district and within our profession. We work together to serve students in the state of Illinois. And as Dr. Jacoby said, Mark has done that not just here within Illinois, but around the country, and has influenced folks outside our country as well. Mark, you've been a great partner for Illinois ASBO, and in that sense of giving, we know it doesn't stop when you roll off the board. And we're excited about your continued engagement with the association, with the profession, and in support of not just your school district, but also for students across the state. You have been a wonderful friend, and we've had a lot of fun. Before I'm done, I just have one important thing to do, which is going to be a selfie here of guys who get behind me.
Get your mouth open.
Get in the picture. Where are you, Mark? Are you coming?
He's never been shy about a picture.
He's got long arms.
All right, here we go. Okay, so thank you, Mark.
I didn't have to do it.
I'd say probably about 150 of those in my phone. I wanted to, but I'm 2 years behind Mark in my journey through IASBO. So I had the privilege of spending 5 years with Mark, and I can tell you, I don't know of another IASBO past president that's made the mark on our membership and the staff of IASBO that Mark has. I think every time he went to any event, probably 5 or 6 times, he thanked everybody, not only in the audience, but all the staff members that were there. It just is a testament to his personality and just giving sense of being a good person. So with that, I have the privilege of presenting a donation for IASBO in the amount of $2,500 for your time and commitment to IASBO, made payable to the District 158 Education Foundation.
Wow, that's really
All right, Mark, like the students,
Yeah.
come on down.
Mark. Oh.
Take a picture.
It's time to shine.
No medal.
No medal. You got to check for $2,500 and say, come on, join, please.
Come on, guys.
Thanks, Mark. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I don't want to block anyone.
I'm always blocked. It's all good. Okay, I'll take a couple. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats,
Thank you very much. Thank you, board members. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Hey, if you guys can hang on 1 second, I'll say a few words about this. You know, first of all, your organization is highly respected. I consider it, I guess Scott might say superintendent's organization is high performing, but I believe what you guys do together as a group and how you mentor each other and share information is just a huge resource for all the districts in the state to operate more efficiently provide the dollars. I mean, the biggest benefit I find of having a Mark Altmeyer in this district has been the dollars that have been saved and preserved for the benefit of being able to provide educational resources. And that's to me what it's been all about, is having the educational resources, especially in a district like ours, where we're not, high-end school district financially. All of that goes a long way and makes a huge difference into how we've been able to operate our district, be able to still have the low class sizes, be able to pay our teachers competitive wages. All of that stuff is highly meaningful, and like I said, the benefit of him in your organization and the ability to work with each other, collaborate with each other, just a great resource to all the school districts. So I just encourage you guys to continue the great work you do. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now you can.
All right, and as I continue with my report and begin, feel obligated to kind of make a statement and reiterate the fact that social emotional learning has zero connection to critical race theory, nor is the critical race theory has zero connection to what we teach in Huntley 158. It is an academic theory that has zero basis in pre-K through 21 education in our public schools. That continues to find its way into our board meetings and board meetings around the country, and it is not true in any way, shape, or form. SEL is not an avenue to indoctrinate anyone. It is focusing on our emotions, how we manage those emotions, how we cope with those emotions, and how we grow and develop as people. Social emotional learning is certainly not a trend of any kind, and we are doing it for our students' benefit and focusing on them as people, so they can access their learning and work with some of the internalized factors that we all deal with in life. We need to remove some of that and learn how to cope with the things that we deal with as people, so that we can access our learning. So, and to Dr. McCrindle's tweet, I 100% support the fact of, and I'll actually speak about it later tonight, the concept of building community before we dive in with both feet is a great way to start. That said, I want to offer some updates on the start of the school year. We've had a fantastic start of the school year. And since Ms. Spector's still here, I want to just acknowledge your comment. I appreciate that feedback very much. We will connect with you before you leave. And my comments about the great start of the school year does not diminish the experience you've had this far. We'll work to get that rectified. But we have had a tremendous start to the actual school year. One of the better starts I can remember in my 12 years in the district, which is really great to stay coming off of the last couple of years that we've had. But to start, I actually go back a couple of days before the school year began. And we had our staff went through our Orange Frog training. Back in early August, we started our journey with the train the trainer model, and about 50 of our employees, administrators, and teachers in the district went through a 3-day training workshop with the Orange Frog experts, and that was followed by 2 building-focused coaching sessions to prepare them to lead this training across their building. Staff has responded extremely well, and 100% has contributed to such a positive start to the school year. And it's not a flash in the pan. Our Orange Frog team will continue to reinforce the experiences that we've had and the lessons that we learned. The exposure that some of you all had at whether it be a Triple I conference or an IASB exposure, thankfully some of you were able to participate for a little while and come and observe it, but it was special. I'm really proud of our district for going this route, and I thank all of you for the nudge to go down this road, because it's not one that didn't require some resources, and it's not one that hasn't required some time taken away from some other things. But if we build the foundation on happiness and a love of being together at work, good things happen. We focus on success, the outcomes are going to follow. So, and I am very proud that some of you were able to stop in and see that in action. So, Mr. Quaglia, I was going to touch on that during his comments later, so I'll move on. Jumpstart and Raider Rally, those are two fantastic opportunities for our students to prepare for the school year before the school year begins. And I just want to share the start and the trends that we're seeing with our kids this school year. Tremendous participation. At the sixth grade level, we've had 90%, approximately 90% of our sixth graders attended Jumpstart. I mean, that's unbelievable. It's fantastic. It's the best way that they can transition into middle school. And just under 80% of our ninth graders, the highest number we've ever had, coming off of a pandemic, attended the Raider Rally. Great way for our ninth graders to start high school, learn what it's about, navigate the building, connect with the Link Crew leaders, and tremendously positive experience right out of the gate. And we're off and running. So our kids are clearly very excited to be back. And as you'll see shortly, so are our educators excited to welcome them back. So as I mentioned, the first couple of days have been extremely smooth and filled with excitement. The joy on our students' faces and our staff faces, it just can't be replaced. And I've mentioned before over the years that our buildings, when they're filled, there's a certain buzz, and they shake just a little bit. And that shake is energy in the building, and it's so special, and it revives every single one of us as to why we do what we do, and revives that passion even after the most difficult couple of years. Today, kindergarten and preschool was nearly tear-free. Every building that I went to, I heard of one or two kids, and that's a really big deal because if you think about it, our kindergartners were second 2-year-olds whenever a pandemic began, and how they have been at home and they haven't been as exposed to people maybe. So it's a really big deal that we had so few tears from our kids that they were excited to be there. It was awesome to welcome them and get to escort them down the hallway. So with that, Ms. Lemoyne and Ms. Moore and our communications team put together a very brief minute 15 video of just the first day yesterday. I just wanted to share it with you so you can enjoy it as much as I did. So some of the things that a couple of the things I wanted to share that we've done that are very intentional to start this school year, especially the secondary level, which you even saw some of it at the elementary, is investing in community, investing in the school community, and investing in the people that we spend so much time with while we're together. Our middle schools have built 3 days of transitioning activities that they've gone through a shortened schedule. In the last 2 hours of all 3 days this week are focused on team building, building that community, while sharing expectations for not only school behaviors, but sharing expectations for academic behaviors to combat that academic apathy that we saw last year. And it's been very, very intentional to play and have some fun as kids transition in before we just dive in to the academics and weigh them down after a long summer. So, to partner that at the secondary level, the high school doesn't have the same luxury of that kind of time commitment. So how they've done it is 10 days of Raider Way lessons. So, you know, when we have a Raider Way lesson, we run a shortened schedule, shorten classes by 5 minutes, and it creates an additional 30 that we have during third period, where the school will put on a Raider Way lesson. So 10 days of the Raider Way schedule, where the Raider Way lesson will be a part of the Life to Start, where they'll be setting expectations about student behaviors in school, as well as fighting that academic apathy, and what are academic behaviors will set you up to be successful. Where are your resources? The high school changed quite a bit in terms of their resources. We've had the pod system for quite some time. Well, they've gotten rid of the alphabetical pod, and it's now north, south, east, and west pod, and freshmen, sophomores are clumped, and juniors and seniors are clumped. So they've made some adjustments, and they want to be sure our students know where the resources are. So we're investing in community. So, and this kind of, you know, goes to what Dr. McCrinnell mentioned in her tweet. You invest in community, and you reap the benefits all year long. And I think this is exactly what our kids need, and it's going to really set our buildings up for a tremendously successful school year. And then finally, you know, wanted to make a highlight out of our transportation department and the new addition that we're very excited about, that actually we were setting the stage for prior to COVID, which is My Stop, the Versatran Tyler technology app that allows parents to know when their students are nearing home. If there's going to be a delay, they get that alert. You know, and transportation delays the first couple of days of school are 100% expected. We've had some, you know, they're typically slower. To remind you why we typically have transportation delays is because our drivers are checking each student in to make sure they're on the right bus, to make sure they're getting off at the right stop. In the first few days, it just takes a little longer. But the My Stop app was introduced, and it's going to take, you know, after a few weeks. We're working on a few glitches with them, which is, you know, unfortunately kind of part of the onboarding process. We wish it was perfect, but we're excited to add this additional resource that a lot of our parents have been asking for quite some time. So we're excited about that. We're pushing our transportation capabilities as far as we can to service our families to the very best of our ability. So we're excited about that addition, and we'll continue to evolve in that part of the school district. That's all I have.
Good. Thank you. And then item 11 is Dr. Castillo. You had something you wanted to share?
Yes, I have a short update. Good evening. So over the past few years, our department and our district worked not only to prepare for each dual language cohort, but also to reflect and respond to the students' needs. As we embark in a new school year, I want to take the opportunity to highlight some important information. And starting this year, our dual language program will be transitioning to a 50-50 language allocation model for all grades. This will be a shift from the 80-20 model that was previously used in the K-2 classrooms. So in the 50-50 model, Spanish is used for 50% of the time of the instructional time, and English is used for the 50% of the instructional time. So that's what we call 50-50. Well, this is a change for our K-2 students. In grades 3 and 5, we have been doing that since the beginning of the program. Both 80 and 20 language allocation programs and 50-50 have been found to be effectively achieve the goals of bilingualism and biliteracy. These changes are an effort to preserve not only the quality of our instructional program, but the teacher shortage that have impacted the dual language educators in our district and across the state and the nation. This is a very important year for our program, as our first cohort of dual language students is in 2 fifth-grade classes in Martin Elementary, which is a celebration because now we have kinder to 5th grade dual language in our school. Finally, last year, our district administration had the opportunity to work closely with a dual language consultant to lay a proposed plan for the next steps for our dual language program. In a survey sent out to dual language family regarding their interest in participating in the dual language middle school, 93% of families say they would like to continue dual language enrollment into middle school, and 7% will consider if it was offered. Now that many of our dual language program components have been developed, we will be ready to present a recommendation to the board for how our students can extend their learning into the middle school in the coming months. So thank you. With that, I'm open for any questions.
But does anybody have that? So is the 50-50, I mean, it is intentional that we're going to 50-50, it's not being forced because of lack of teacher shortage. We intended to go to 50-50, and that's kind of the natural movement of this type of program?
We were an 80-20 kinder to second,
Right.
and then we turned into 50-50 third to fifth.
All right.
So this is basically a response of our teacher shortage. So we were having difficulty to hire
All right.
Spanish dual language teachers. So we switched our program to a 50-50 model. There's 80-20, 50-50. There's a lot of research that both programs are effective in teacher bilingual, but definitely this is us as a district being proactive for the teacher shortage.
Okay. All right.
So maybe some of the structures of how that looks might help you visualize this. So if you have two classrooms in a grade level, you have one dual language Spanish-speaking teacher, and then the other class is manned by an English-speaking teacher, and they share both groups of students.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yes, it's effective. It's 80-20 was our preferred model, but we needed to proactively make this change to properly serve our kids.
That's
correct.
Exactly. 80-20 will be the same teacher. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, item 15 is President's Report. Okay, a little something different for President's Report. I was supposed to give you guys a heads up, but I forgot. And that heads up is, instead of me talking, I did like just your reflections. I think a few of you participated in the Orange Frog stuff. So if anybody wants to share any of their experience with that, that would be great.
I did not participate.
I couldn't either. So, yeah. Sean, you're chomping at the bit, though. I can see it, man. You're going to help me out.
Well, yeah, I was with Scott. We started over at Martin. We were there for a couple hours, and it was just, I don't know, the energy was just really good. You could just see it as the hours went on, the louder they got. I think we had a couple standing up on chairs.
No, we didn't, Doug. No, we didn't.
And then we moved over to Chesapeake.
They're well supported,
too. It was unique to see just the different, the layouts that they had, both at Chesapeake and ECC. And then got over around lunchtime over to Marlowe. And I think it was just, as the day progressed, the louder the buildings became. And just, I was really impressed with it, not being, going through III and seeing it from there, but seeing it here, and now hearing my kids already talk about it, after the first 2 days of school, it's really, I think it's a great program, and it was really nice to see all 3 bus drivers in the morning, the first day, had their Choose Happy shirts on, so I thought that was neat.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so it was palpable. You could really feel the energy and the enthusiasm with that. That's good. Oh, I can't.
Yeah, I was there. Dr. Zier and I were at Heinemann. I could not stay as long as Sean did, but I echo his comments about the energy of the building. I was only there for about an hour or so, and everybody was visually excited to be there, but the added layer of the activities really got people excited to be there, and they were happy to be there, and the activities that were there were clearly focused on bringing out the positives. And I wore my orange T-shirt and then wore it to work for the entire day. And it was interesting to hear how many people say, I really like your shirt. I really like your shirt. And so I have it hanging in my office now so that I can keep that in my head as I go through my workday, and echo that kind of positivity throughout my day and bring that into my staff. So I'm glad it's here. I was a proponent, went through that at the III conference. And I'm thrilled that, the District 158 has embraced this, with both arms.
Excellent. Excellent. I will call on you. You did participate in opening day ceremonies. Did you go, break, were you?
Opening day ceremony?
Yeah, the first day of school. You're the torch, right?
Yeah, there's a torch all through school.
Yeah, so I mean, just what was
I
your,
did.
your
I
experience
did.
with the first day of school?
I did. I was able to, pop into each of the schools, and saw some kids get off the bus. When Dr. Rose said that the buildings, it almost feels like they shake, it's true. There was such an excitement this year specifically. Kids were happy getting off the bus. They were excited to see kids that they hadn't seen. It was nice to see everybody's smiling faces. And the teachers were just as excited. And I think that's because of the training that they just went through with the Orange Frog. But, it was a great feeling just at every single school.
Great. So, thank you for sharing instead of me just talking during the president's report. I want to hear from some of you. That's great, yeah, because the focus, obviously, it's the beginning of school. Everybody should be optimistic, and and I think that should be the theme that carries us all is to be looking forward to moving forward and to focus on that. And for me, the last 2 years is a long way away, in my opinion. And I listening to Dr. Rowe and others speak about what's gone on in the buildings the last week or so with the teachers coming back and then with the kids coming back. I think it all sets up for, I hate to use the word getting back to normal. I want it to be on getting back to normal. I want us to get more lazy, be focused on positivity and the educational process that moves all our kids forward and helps them achieve everything they can be. So, it should be the theme of the week, the month, the year. So we'll move on to item 16, which is community relations and student outreach. FOIA requests enumerated in the agenda. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that? If not, we'll move on to item 17, which is consent agenda. So, are there any items that need to be removed from consent agenda? No items are to be removed. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented in our agenda tonight. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Melendi. Could we have roll call, please?
Mrs. Maiorino, Mr. Craddy,
Yes.
Mr. Troy,
Yes.
Mrs. Melendi,
Yes.
Mr. Guerin,
Yes.
Mr. Quagliano,
Yes.
Mr. Gentry.
Okay, that passes. Item 18, the action agenda. Item 18.1 is the supplemental purchase orders. Do you have any questions or concerns related to the supplemental purchase orders? If not, I'll make a motion to approve the supplemental purchase orders for the report and the supplemental accounts payable for the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Troy, that second. Can we have roll call, please?
Mrs. Melendi,
Yes.
Mr. Gentry, Mrs. Maiorino, Mr. Guerin,
Yes.
Mr. Troy,
Yes.
Mr. Craddy,
Yes.
Mr. Quagliano.
Yes. Passes. 18.2 is our 21-22 strategic planning measures. Dr. Rowe.
All right. We have our end of the year report, and I am excited to share with you that the 21-22 strategic planning measures that you approved last September, we achieved 88% of the goals that we set. We felt we tried our best to trim those goals down because of the nature of the environment we were going to be working in, and ended up doing really, really well. I'm really proud of my team. I'm really proud of my team of principals and the teachers that had a lot of direct support, and our educators in this district had a lot of direct support in supporting the accomplishment of these goals under some challenging circumstances. And the reality is we couldn't shorten our list because we were so far down the road on some big things, we had to keep pushing forward. And we were as conscientious of our people as we could be, and really listen to them in terms of the process. But, most of these items on the end of year report have come to you by way of a presentation throughout the school year. So I'm not going to cover all of them, but there are a few highlights that I do want to cover. First things first, 1.1 and 1.2, I'm extremely proud to share that we met these two goals. I'm not sure we've met these goals since we set them, to be honest with you. And that is the challenging goal of understanding that 84% of our students will meet or exceed their projected growth target in our EquiData system. So that's a statistically significant target that ECRA sets. Obviously, we want 100% of our students meeting that goal, but 84% of them are on their projected path, is where ECRA says we should be. 85% of our students met that goal in reading and 84 in math. Again, extremely proud of our team for driving that type of success under some challenging circumstances. Goal 1.7, another goal, 1.7 and 1.8 we met. These were new goals to the strategic planning measures that had not been accounted for in the last couple of years, which was setting some increases of students hitting that proficient level on our state accountability assessments. Goal 1.7, we saw a 2% increase in our performance on English and language arts on those state accountability assessments, and 1.8 showed a 5.5% increase in our math performance in those state assessments. A few more to highlight on the contrary side here. Goal 2.1 and 2.2 were goals that we did not meet, yet we're actually very proud of the growth that we made here. This is our goals for students with special needs and an IEP. And we set the same goal that 84% of those students would meet their projected growth target. And although we did not meet that goal, I want to point out that we saw a 5% increase in our IAR, which is the Illinois Assessment of Readiness, which is our elementary and middle school state assessment for accountability for students with special needs, and an 11% increase on the SAT in reading. And in math, although we did not meet that goal, we saw a 12% increase in the IAR for students with IEPs in reading, and a 4% increase in the SAT in math. So did not hit that specific target, but we're seeing significant growth, and I think that's something that we should be proud of. Internally, we're exceptionally proud of this, even though we didn't hit the mark. We're proud of the growth our students made and the work of our educators with our students. So did not meet that goal, but still something for us to celebrate. We're making good progress. And then finally, item 4.4, we did not meet this goal, and that was conducting a staff job satisfaction survey. Obviously, when we set this goal in early September, we didn't quite know the direction the 21-22 school year was going to go in terms of the toll that it was going to take on our staff. And we didn't feel it was appropriate, nor did we feel we were going to collect great data to actually be actionable outside of a pandemic. So we elected to hold off on that one. We intend to conduct that survey this year, and you'll see that next month when we set our 22-23 measures. Now, that doesn't mean we didn't collect feedback from our staff throughout the year. I collected qualitative feedback from my superintendent advisory group that actually proved to be very actionable. The feedback that they shared with us was how professional learning is organized and planned in the district, and they gave us some really great feedback that constituted a significant change in communicating our professional learning plan to them before they even left for the summertime. That's something that I think is going to set the stage that they know exactly what to expect, when to expect it for every in-service day, every early release day, and every professional development morning that they have throughout the year. So just knowing what's coming helps you get in the right mindset, and I think that, and that's a testament to those that served on the superintendent advisory committee. I'm grateful for their time and feedback and partnership in the process. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions on our strategic planning measures and the end of your report.
You good? My just general thought is I'm pleasantly surprised that the level of some of these, meeting these, and even the ones you fell a little short on, like you said, the increases or the improvement was not insignificant. In fact, it was pretty substantial, and it's fallen a little short, and it's okay. I think, you know, part of it is, you know, all these goals shouldn't be achievable. They shouldn't be easily achieved, and I don't think you're trying to cherry pick results to try and get it. I mean, I think our, you know, strategic planning measures are appropriate. They're fairly comprehensive, a lot of different areas. So, my thoughts are very pleased to see it. Great job, everyone.
Especially the SAT.
Yeah, you know, everyone, and, you know, it includes teachers and all the support staff and everyone involved. So, great job under trying conditions. So, especially, very good. If no one has any further questions related to this report, then I'll make a motion to approve the strategic planning measures and indicators as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Craddy. Can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Quagliano?
Yes?
Mr. Craddy?
Yes.
Mrs. Melendi?
Yes.
Mr. Guerin?
Yes.
Mr. Gentry? Mr. Troy?
Yes.
Mrs. Myerino?
Okay, motion passes. 18.3 is the memorandum of understanding between Board of Ed, HESPA, and HEA related to COVID leave. Is there?
Yeah, the COVID leave MOU is something that's being extended from last year. We did put a sunset time on this that aligns with the governor. If he would stop the disaster declaration, this MOU would sunset. Also, he has to do that every 30 days. Been pretty consistent with it for a while, over the last 2 years. Essentially what this MOU does, since we are still isolating those who are positive for 5 days, if they have to miss work due to a positive test in isolation, they turn that test in and they do not have to use their accrued sick time. So that's what this MOU covers.
Okay. Further discussion from anyone on this matter? Not fair to vote, right? I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Board of Education, HESPA, and HEA COVID leave as presented. Second. Second from Mr. Guerin. Can we roll call?
Mr. Guerin?
Yes.
Mrs. Myerino? Mr. Quagliano?
Yes. Sorry.
Mr. Craddy?
Yes.
Mr. Troy?
Yes.
Mr. Gentry? Mrs. Melendi?
Motion passes. 18.4 is it's a memorandum of understanding between the Board of Ed and the HESPA regarding van drivers.
So with this MOU, we're looking at a job category for the HESPA contract entitled van drivers. The rate there is $18 per hour starting. So what we would be looking at essentially with this job category, we're hoping this frees up some of our bus drivers who need the CDL to drive the bus. So the requirements to drive the 10-passenger van is a Class B license with a 10-passenger or less endorsement. The wording for that, and some federal and state training. So the training is not as much as it goes into driving a bus. So the hopes that we can fill some of these positions, and then we'll see the domino getting some of our drivers back to routes, or drivers that are covering long routes, and we can bring them back to the district by utilizing vans in the future. So this may take a little bit of time to get up and going, but to have the job category there and ready to go, another way to solve our shortage of drivers in the district of the state.
Do I have any questions related to this item? Okay. Now, I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Board of Education and HESPA related to van drivers. Is there a second?
Second.
Craddy. We have roll call, please.
Mr. Guerin,
Yes.
Mrs. Maiorino, Mr. Quagliano,
Yes.
Mr. Craddy,
Yes.
Mr. Troy,
Yes.
Mrs. Melendi,
Yes.
Mr. Gentry.
Motion passes. Item 18.5, memorandum of understanding between the Board of Ed and HESPA related to para sub contract. Dr. Zier.
So this MOU would allow the district to reach out to contracting agencies to fill open para positions. Two of the major shortages out there, bus drivers and paraprofessionals, specifically one-to-ones in our district. We do not want to subcontract these positions, but we need to do what we need to do in this time. We are still advertising and looking to hire our own district employees, and we would much rather have that. There are outs in these contracts as we bring employees aboard. It's usually 30 days to transition the contracted employee out, but this will allow us to reach out to those contract agencies in an effort to fill some of these high-need positions, especially the one-to-one positions where we need to meet minutes for IEP.
Before you would like to say just a brief narrative in addition to that, so that you're armed with information if you are asked in the community. As Dr. Zier said, we prefer not to use contracting agencies to replace positions. We want them to be our people that are employed by 158. We've got a great relationship with both of our bargaining units. It's something that we value, and that's something that although they don't love this, they understand the position that we're in. So this is us dipping our toe into this world, and by no means is it a long-term commitment to this. We are actively seeking people to fill these positions permanently, but we have a responsibility to serve our students with IEPs, and we need to take some action to be sure that those minutes are covered. And that's where we're coming from on this, just in case you're approached publicly, you can be armed with that information. We view this as a temporary solution, but one we need to make to bridge the gap.
More or less a move out of desperation due to the circumstances of trying to hire these positions. So it's not meant to be the end all be all, but an option to try and get access to people. Anybody have anything further on it? And I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Board of Education and HESPA regarding the para subcontracting as presented in the agenda. Second, Ms. Melendi. Roll call.
Mr. Craddy,
Yes.
Mr. Guerin,
Yes.
Mr. Gentry, Mrs. Melendi,
Yes.
Mr. Quagliano,
Yes.
Mrs. Maiorino, Mr. Troy.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Last item on the agenda, actually, on the agenda is the agreement with partnering for prevention. Ms. Lombard.
Sure. In June, we brought forward the agreement with Partnering for Prevention to renew and actually expand on the number of hours that they work with the district in terms of the counseling for students. And talked about at that time, at that board meeting, we were going to continue to investigate and work with high school administration, who would then work with Dawn Nessie at Partner for Prevention to take over the services for our random drug screening, the extracurricular drug and alcohol testing program, because prior to the pandemic that was happening through Northwestern, when the pandemic, they kind of shift some of their services and are no longer able to perform that for us. And so working with a partner that is very much part of the high school community, has a great relationship with the staff there, and many of our families, thought that this would be the best partnership for the service. And so here you have a contract very similar to the last one that would work through providing these services. Again, it's that random each month from hopefully September through May to perform those random screenings. And then she would do she works with a lab that would do all of that. If there would need to be any follow-up samples taken or whatnot, screenings, she would be able to do that. And so working very closely with high school administration. We've worked through what that would look like, where that takes place at the various locations, so that's confidential, but we work very, very similar to the components that were in place prior to. It's just a change in vendor, if you will. So with that, are there any questions?
Just the only thing I want to add is just put it into context as to why this is necessary is Northwestern made an adjustment and are no longer offering the random drug screening to anyone. They backed out of it, so we had to find a new partner. So as you know, we have that overarching agreement with Northwestern for all medical services. They have first right of refusal. I guess we received our formal notice of a right of refusal that this was no longer being offered through their system. And we worked with Mr. Carlin, the president at Northwestern Huntley, connected us with a great rationale. We fully understand, liability reasons why they're no longer doing this, but it's something that, we hold our athletes and students and activities to a high standard, and we want to maintain that.
Okay, any questions? Yeah.
Hey, just, did, Ms. Nedzi have a name change?
She just recently did have a name change.
Okay, all right.
And so that's why it looks a little different on this contract than the other
Just want
one.
to make sure it's the same person.
Within the last couple
Okay.
days. And I don't want to pronounce it, or we were notified of that, I don't know if the high school is, but, yes, since the last one, I don't want to pronounce it wrong, but I believe it's Schoen, Schoen.
Way to go, Mr. Karen. Picking that out. Wow, on top of it.
Thanks for reading that one.
Yeah. Good deal. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with Partnering for Prevention, as presented in the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Melendi. Can we have roll call?
Mr. Troy?
Yes.
Mrs. Melendi?
Yes.
Mr. Gentry? Mr. Quagliano?
Yes.
Mrs. Maiorino?
Mine is the last agenda.
Mr. Guerin?
Yes.
Mr. Kratty?
Yes.
Motion passes. Before I adjourn, I meant to give Mr. Altmeyer an opportunity. The district there's some kind of event coming up here, I think, this weekend, concerning elements that relate to the district. Right?
Not this weekend.
You mean the
I'm
Hoot Man?
sorry.
coming up.
Okay, yeah, I thought.
The Hoot Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the, last week to register to guarantee.
That's what it was.
spot, and
Okay.
we raise a goodie bag and a swag bag, so to speak, but it is, 7:15 PM on September 10th.
Okay.
So,
I knew I saw an email or something that was needed action. Okay. So I just want to give you
encouraging folks to get out there and run the first 5K with their family.
And where can they go to register for that?
The Education Foundation website, or search, Huntley 158 Huntley Hoot Man, and you'll find it.
You'll run into
Thank you.
it.
So, Mr. Altmeyer, while you have the microphone, Mr. Quagliano's permission, I know that Illinois ASBO was a big part of your professional life for a good long while, and it was really great to be able to celebrate you with your colleagues, the contributions you made. We're grateful for that, and I thank you, but if you have any brief reflections on your experience, 'cause I know, like I said, I know it was very meaningful to you.
Well, yeah, I think it's, certainly from a leadership perspective, but also, I think Mr. Quagliano, Tony hit it on the head. Sorry, there's a flat line around here. Gotta take care of that, sorry.
Like the way you say it.
Well played. Yep, well played. The association it is about collaboration and networking and providing the professional development, statewide to anybody in the school business official position. And I remember, when I first started, I started in January of 2009. In my very first week on the job, I was encouraged by Tony, and I was encouraged by Dr. Berkey to go to a regional meeting. And it was a regional meeting where, you meet all of the CFOs in McHenry and Boone and Winnebago County, and there's upwards of anywhere from 20 to 30 different CFOs there. And so I go to this meeting, and they're talking about levies, and they're talking about all these things I have no idea, and I have no idea what any of it is, but I will tell you that I was completely blown away because in corporate America, 30 CFOs never get together for anything. That collaboration and that networking doesn't exist. And at that meeting, I met somebody by the name of Daryl Moon, and at the time, Daryl Moon was actually the president, and I didn't even know this at the time, but he was the president of Illinois ASBO, and he ran that regional.
And he came up to me and he said to me, he goes, hey, if you need anything, that's why we meet here on a monthly basis. You call me, you let me know. And over the next several months, and 6 months, I called him several times and he was always there. Everybody was always there. And I went to my first annual conference, and it was at, in St. Charles at the old, they shut it down. Run. And he sees me and he pulls me up and he pulls me away, or he pulls me into his group, and he introduces me to tons of different CFOs. And it was that type of networking and that type of collaboration that, for which really, it truly helps people in my role do their job. Because there's so many new people that enter school finance, that it really does provide an opportunity, to make, well, our school districts better for our students. So, and to be honest with you, I also too want to thank the board, because it was a commitment by the board, and Dr. Berkey, and certainly Dr. Rowe and the rest of the administration, because certainly in that role, whether it was the president or on the executive team of Illinois ASBO, I was pulled away from the office quite a bit, and I have a great team that supported me, the fiscal team, but it wouldn't have been possible without your support from day one. So I do also want to thank the board and Dr. Rowe.
Well, the highlight may be the picture of Mark wearing a Pizza Cat costume. If you haven't seen it,
It's a must, yeah, it's a must have.
Yeah, that's a good one, thanks.
thank you, Mr. Cornell.
Okay, no, you're welcome. And I know, I know we focused here on Mark, but I know the rest of you also collaborate in your circles. And I think it's, a great testament to how our district has progressed over the years I've certainly been on the board. It's just, helping out. And I know a lot of districts look to our leaders for that. I mean, all of you have attained very high levels of what you do in your specific profession. So I just continue to encourage you to, we will support all of you in your endeavors to collaborate with your various professional groups on that. With that, it is now time for adjournment. So I will make a motion to adjourn at 8:22. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Creddy. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting is adjourned.